All right. If you guys are struggling to get payouts on your funded accounts, or even just struggling to get a funded account in general, you guys, listen, what you need to do is you need to size the fuck down. Now, this has worked splendidly in my personal trading journey. I've been trading for about 6 years now, dabbled in Forex, now I'm in futures, and I've been able to get a funded multiple times, and I've gotten a bunch of payouts. Mainly I got a 5K payout recently. Now, full transparency, I am on a losing streak right now, but I had to analyze my data, and I came to the realization that the reason I'm on this losing streak right now is quite literally because I started to size up, right? I got some payouts, I got a little more confident in myself, and I thought, you know what, it's time for me to size up. And that ended up basically sabotaging my trading, and now I'm on a losing streak. So what I ended up doing is going back to my roots. I realized, when I got the most payouts, it was when I was trading about 2 micros. Now, I would urge you guys to trade about 2 micros as well. It might be a little different for everyone, but the main idea here is just to size the fuck down. And now, the number one reason why this works is because, have you guys ever noticed that when you guys size up, I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video, you guys have taken trades in which maybe, I don't know, let's just use the Top Step funded account as an example here, right? You had a 50K funded account and you chose to trade about 1 mini. When you trade 1 mini, man, guess what ends up happening? You're looking at the P&L and it's fluctuating like crazy, and the numbers are just going up and down. And what ends up happening is it spikes an emotion in you, right? Whereas if you were to size down, you're much more calm, right? Have you ever noticed that? I don't know. You guys have to see the difference between the two. If you guys have not yet sized down ever, please give it a try, because what you're gonna end up realizing is you don't really give a fuck about the trade anymore, because you're like, yo, the P&L doesn't even phase me. And that's exactly where you want to be at, right? Because when it doesn't phase you is the exact time that you will make the right decision according to whatever your trading plan may be, right? And now this is something that I've noticed in myself. Whenever I take a trade that was, like 1 mini, I would basically not manage it correctly, right? And I would end up revenge trading, over trading, because let's say that one trade was a loss, I'm gonna end up losing a lot more than I wanted to lose initially. And then what ends up happening is I'm gonna take another trade, and then I'm gonna end up blowing that account either that day or the next day. And I'm pretty sure a lot of you watching this video have probably been in the same exact spot. So how can we fix this? Well, quite simply, if you trade 2 micros per trade, guess what? You have a lot more leeway. Now, I don't know how you guys trade, and I'm not going to really talk about my strategy. I just want to stay on the fact that, actually, I will let you guys know what my strategy is, or like kind of how I enter these trades. So I basically do a top-down analysis from the higher time frames all the way down, and then I'm coming in at New York Stock Exchange time, so 9:30 EST, and then, or 9:30 a.m. EST, and then there's a lot of volume during that time, and so I will enter off of like higher time frame biases, but then I will scale in to the 5 minute and the 1 minute, and I will move my stop loss to break even as quick as possible, and I'm trying to risk about anywhere from $200 to $300 per trade. Now listen, that spike in emotion that you get from the taking like a 1 mini trade, for example, that can easily be negated if you just take a 2 micro trade. That's quite simply one of the best reasons why 2 micros works. Now, number two here is, I have this right here. Number two is you want to survive. Trading is all about surviving, right? Now listen, losing streaks are inevitable. Everyone's gonna go through them. I am currently on a losing streak right now. And how you can mitigate this losing streak, or mitigate the losses that you take during the losing streak, is by quite simply making sure that you stick to 2 minis. I mean, two micros, not 2 minis. And so, again, listen, if I'm risking, let's just use this example of $200 risk per trade, right? And you have a 50K funded account or 50K eval, applies to both really. And you're risking $200. Let's say you go on a crazy losing streak and you lose 10 trades in a row. That is when you will actually blow your account. 10 trades. Now listen, a lot of traders are not going to go on a 10 trade losing streak, but because you're risking so low, you have allowed yourself to potentially go through a 10 trade losing streak to then blow your account, right? And so, if you go through like a 5 trade losing streak, yeah, you might lose half of your drawdown, but at the same time, you still have plentiful opportunities to kind of claw your way back into that, right? So that's the whole point behind this, is you want to survive, right? Trading is about surviving, especially if you are at a place where, you've yet to be funded, or you just got funded, you maybe got a couple of payouts, you want to stay in the game. Listen, consistency is very important. And so this is how you stay consistent and how you survive in this trading game, I've had so many times where I've had funded accounts and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna size the fuck up, right? Let me tell you guys a story actually. So and this is earlier in the year before the war started, right? The war in Iran started. And this is when I had this 150K funded account. I just got 2 payouts from it from Top Step. I think we got about like $3,000 to $4,000 from that account. And then obviously I got really overconfident, right? I was feeling real good about myself. And then I said to myself, you know what? I'm gonna size the fuck up, right? And so war tensions came in and I was like, you know what? I can make a whole lot of money from this. And so I sized up and I went on tilt and I ended up blowing that account. Now, granted, I did get some payouts from that account, which is all kosher, it's all good, but at the end of the day, I could have probably ran that account up even more, got a couple of more payouts, and then probably, you know, got moved to live. Who knows, right? And the whole, and then that kind of like sparked a tilt moment for me as well earlier in this year because I was doing so well, you know, and on that account, I think I was on like a 13 or 14-day win streak, right? And again, I was sized down, and that's why I was able to go on this win streak. And then when I sized up, that's instantly when I literally blew that account that day. And so I say all this to say, like, had I just stayed at the 2 to 3 micro size that I was originally taking, I would have ended up getting more payout and probably got moved to live, right? And so that is really the point that I'm trying to make here, is that you guys have to drop your ego as well, right? I know you guys see a lot of traders on social media that show you guys this glamorous lifestyle, this Lamborghini lifestyle, but that's not really the case. It's not really reality, right? That's not really what trading is about. It is about doing the same thing over and over and over again. The boring, monotonous things, following your trading plan, following your risk management plan, journaling your trades, analyzing where you went right, where you went wrong, and doing this on a day-to-day basis, doing it over and over and over again until it's ingrained in your system, right? You want to have a system that you follow. And you listen, it's boring, right? I'm going to tell you guys, it's fucking boring, right? Please don't think that it's exciting. It will be exciting at the beginning because of course, you know, trading does spike dopamine, but eventually you want to get to that point where it's not exciting. You just want to be able to consistently extract money from the markets and you know, stay as stoic as possible while doing it. And so, you know, I say all this to say, we'll move on to the last point here, which is consistency, which I did mention this earlier, but consistency is very key when it comes to trading. And, you know, the story of me blowing my account right after getting 2 payouts, I'm sure, you know, some of you guys who are watching this have probably been there before. And, you know, consistency is very important, right? You want to stay in the game as long as possible. And the ones that are able to, or like the traders that are able to actually take this long term, you know, take this as a full-time profession, do this for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, they are the ones that are the most consistent, right? We're not talking about getting a max payout, because listen, here's another thing about max payouts, right? It's kind of like something that these prop firms dangle in front of traders, you know, this max payout. Oh my God, you can get a 3K max payout, 2K max payout, 5K max payout. But at the end of the day, you have to realize they dangle this in front of you because they know that if you chase that max payout, what you're gonna end up doing is you're gonna scrap consistency and you're gonna go for these larger size trades. You're gonna try to go for these home runs instead of base hits, right? And base hits are where your bread and butter is made, right? At least in my case, and I'm sure in your case as well, because most traders, what you're gonna end up doing is every day you're gonna feel super calm when you come to the markets, when you trade 2 micros, and you're gonna be very consistent over time because you're literally gonna trade your setup with ease because it's not going to bother you. Like, you know, psychologically, the P&L is not going to bother you at all. So you're gonna end up focusing more on the trade itself, and you're just gonna overall be consistent, right? And so I hope this video helps you guys. You know, I kind of went through on a little bit of a rant here. But yeah, if you guys are struggling with getting funded, or, you know, maybe you are funded and you're struggling to get payouts, or maybe you have gotten a couple of payouts and now you're on a losing streak like myself, listen, the best thing you guys can do is to size the fuck down. All right, guys. Thank you guys for watching, and stay frosty, my friends.